In-depth journalism in the Memphis community, the Daily Memphian is of Memphis, not just in Memphis, and seeks to tell the stories of this city. TheDailyMemphian.com. Truth in place.
Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Daily Memphian's Tigers basketball podcast. I'm Parth Upadhyaya, the DM's Tigers basketball beat writer, and I'm joined as always by John Martin, the Daily Memphian's college sports columnist here at the DM. John, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you having me, Parth. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Means a lot, man. Means a lot. Appreciate you being with us as always. We're blessed to have you co-piloting this thing. You know, it's been great. Man, what a season, right? You talked about it on your show. You had Penny Hardaway on the Jason and John show recently on the radio. And who would have thought that we'd be here, you know, only 6 months ago when there was turmoil and staff firings and changes and players leaving for NIL or whatever it was going on. All of that. Who would have imagined that, you know, the Tigers would be where they are. You and I would be here discussing such a fabulous season, and there'd be such excitement for the road ahead. How you feeling about all that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so pleasantly surprised, man. I mean, to be honest, we talked about this before the season started. You know, we had you on the show. We kind of laughed at you.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, like we thought you were just out of your mind that you would try to predict the Sweet 16 for this team.
Yo, the public bullying has been insane from you and Jason Smith. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all having me on every week. But between that,
I don't know if I would.
And like, golly, man.
I'll say this. I appreciate your perspective. I do. And you know, if you feel like it is public bullying, then you know, maybe we need to, you know, look at ourselves. I mean, we kind of look at it as you know, playful ribbing.
It's funny. It's we value. Yeah.
We definitely try to you know, keep it friendly. We don't want to violate you, right?
No, I've never been violated by you guys.
Good.
I will let you know if you violate me.
I definitely am big on not bullying people. Like I know what it feels like to be bullied, you know, and it's a terrible feeling.
Are you serious?
Totally.
Oh damn, man, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's cool. I mean, that's just part of growing up. I mean, I think everybody at some point probably has, you know, that feeling at some point, you know. So I don't want to be perceived as that at all. I really, you know, so if I did make you feel like I was bullying you, Parth, I sincerely do apologize.
No, you never made me feel like that.
I've always got the sense that, you know, you take it from it, but I also like don't.
I've got pretty thick skin, bro. I'm good.
Well, I also don't want to be the guy though. I also don't want to be the guy who, you know, just tries to like write off you know, being mean as, oh man, I'm just kidding, you know, because that's not really fair, you know, because a lot of people.
No, there are folks who do that.
Yeah, and that's not right. That's not just you know, you don't get to be mean, you know. Just because you want to be mean and you can write it off as being joking, you know. So
no, that's not cool.
I definitely don't want to make you feel like because we really love you. We love you. We think a lot of you, and we wouldn't mess around with you if we didn't.
No, and I appreciate that. I've felt the love, and like I said, I do have relatively thick skin, and you know who else has had developed thick skin? That'd be Penny Hardaway. After a season, you know, in which he endured criticism and critique, and you know, he said it on your show, I believe it was, where he said that he walked around Memphis, and at times he felt like the most hated man in the city, right? When things were going downhill. Instead of letting that get to him, which initially it did, and he'll tell you that. But instead of letting that kind of roll on and turn into something bigger and you know, let that be the end, he found a new beginning, right? Like he made changes this offseason, and it's led to what we see now. So there's a lot to get to, obviously, with Penny and the Tigers winning the AAC regular season title, or at least a share of it, and everything that lies ahead. But first, you know, just want to let y'all know to tune in to our podcast and check it out on whatever podcast platform you prefer. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or here at dailymemphian.com, where you can check our work out as well. John, how do you kind of categorize what we saw on Tuesday, right? They played a bad UTSA team, coming off of that super emotional game against UAB, where they steamrolled UAB, and you know, a lot of folks, and Penny said this too, that he felt that was going to be the turning of a corner in terms of, you know, they're gonna, I guess, keep plowing forward, right? There wouldn't be any of these kind of ugly performances that we've seen in the past. It would just be kind of forward momentum leading to, a bulldozing, right? Rest of the way. That really didn't happen. And it didn't happen for a lot of reasons. I'm sure one of them was fatigue. Second game in 48 hours, not easy. Second game on the road in 40 hours, not easy at all. But you had the ugly nature of the game. You had the chaos that ensued afterwards with, words exchanged between Penny and members of the UTSA coaching staff. On a night that was supposed to be a celebration, right? A celebration of Memphis ending a drought, ending a 12-year drought, and winning a share of that conference title. What'd you make of everything that occurred on Tuesday night in San Antonio?
Well, I chose to focus on what it meant. I chose to focus on the achievement. I mean, obviously, I'm conditioned to believe and expect that there's going to be something stupid that happens at the end of a Memphis basketball game, because more often than not, we could go down the list. Charlotte, Temple, when they, were in Memphis. Obviously, Tuesday night, I'm sure I'm missing some. Like the only time Tulane was a good close at Tulane. They closed very strongly in that one. But
both UAB games were a good close.
But that was just you're right. Second one was a very strong close. But they were losing, so it's a little different, right? Like
I see.
You get to kind of, you're right. It was a good close, but this Memphis team is not. We know when they're losing, it's different. It's when they're winning by 10, 12, 14 that they have trouble finishing games, right? And so I've kind of gotten used to that, right? I've kind of gotten used to that we're in March there and they've played, 28 games or whatever it is. And, there's really no surprises for me at this point. So I just focused on the achievement, man, which was conference title. They did it. They did it. They were picked second and they're going to be their champs. Now, whether they're outright or they have to share it, we'll see. But, they're champs. And that was the goal the whole way. This has never happened before under Penny. It's never happened in this conference. And I think symbolically, it's huge. It's huge. It's not something that I think you're going to get a parade over, because as we all know, this league is rated worse than Conference USA. Right. This league stinks. Right. It's terrible. But you did it. People wanted to see you do it. They wanted to see you prove that you could do it, and you did it. And I think that's important. And I would expect Memphis to be able to do it again and again and again and again and again until they leave it. So, no, I mean, look, I was a little worried when Primo Spears took that three. I'm like, damn, he's going to make it. He's going for the win, which I thought was smart.
Shot. Very dumb.
It was a dumb shot, but, dumb shots go in against Memphis, okay? That's just the way
that is true.
So I expected that to win. Fortunate to miss that one. But, yeah, man, the whole thing was rinky-dink. The setup, you're sitting in the stands with the fans.
Bro, they had me in the stands. In the stands. Isn't that crazy?
You didn't like my tweet, man? He a fan.
I saw it. He got a laugh out of me.
I mean, come on, man. You got to show me some love on Twitter, man. I'm retweeting your AP poll. You couldn't even throw a like on the he a fan.
You are retweeting my AP poll.
Is it because you're a Drake guy? Is that why you didn't want to retweet that?
No, it's because I was so frustrated. Not at you, but the situation. The situation was so goofy. Just give me 2 minutes to vent about this, if you don't mind. If our listeners will indulge me here. Man, I applied for that credential in December, right? Like when I applied for every other credential in the conference slate. So the non-conference is winding down. It's about to be Christmas time. I'm about to go home to North Carolina to hang with my family. I'm getting things knocked out. I'm getting things done. I applied for all 9 road credentials for the AAC slate, right? Most folks got back to me after the break, which makes sense. They're on Christmas break. They're with their families, whatever. So in January, I heard back from about, 7 of the 9 schools. UTSA never got back to me. Me being me, I didn't realize UTSA did not get back to me. So about a week before the game, I'm looking through my email, a week before, keep that in mind, and I don't see a response from UTSA. All right, fine, no worries, still got a week. I emailed them again. Crickets. No response. This is twice, right? Twice I've reached out, formally applied and then reached out twice, nothing. Then I get the number from the UTSA guy from Memphis, right, who's been corresponding with them to set up whatever they got to set up on their end. I have to call the UTSA guy as I'm landing in San Antonio. Now I'm sweating, right, because I've landed in San Antonio and I've not heard from UTSA despite multiple efforts, trying to reach them. The guy picks up and says, "Oh man, I'm sorry. I thought I responded to you. But you're all set. Don't worry about it. You're all set. You're taken care of." Cool. Cool. All right. I'll see you tomorrow at the Convocation Center. Right. So I pull up to the Convocation Center, uh, JUCO ass gym, by the way, high school gym, whatever. And I'm told that my seat is on the floor, on the other side of the rest of the media. Fine. That's kind of strange. Whatever. Don't understand why that is. But I walk to my seat, or what's supposed to be my seat, and there's no name tag there. I had to find the SID, who's the sports information director for those who don't know at UTSA, and he tells me, "Oh man, yeah. I put your name tag there, but we realized that we really don't have the space to accommodate the amount of media there at this game. So you can sit up there," and he points to the 105 section, like in the sky, with a literally a glass barrier almost separating you from the viewing of the game, right? So I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. And I just posted up in the stands. Plenty of seats to choose from. Let me just find one of these empty ones. And I sat behind press row in the crowd, which is why some people saw me on ESPN Plus on Tuesday night. So that was something. The gym was janky. The goal looked as if it would come down when Dane Danger threw down a dunk. Like literally the goal was going to come down, like one of those things where you got to put a sandbag on it, like you had to do back in your mom or dad's driveway when you're playing ball. So janky venue, weird game, weird ending, but the Tigers do get it done. And I'm glad you kind of mentioned both sides of the coin here, right? Like on one hand, you look at it from a 30,000 view level, and it's like, okay, fine, like milestone checked off, right? Penny's finally done it. But there's also the fact that like this league is kind of garbage. Um, and UTSA is not the most you know strong opponent there. How do you look at this in terms of everything else Penny's accomplished? Because he's accomplished quite a bit when you think about the teams he's beaten. Beating Houston, number one Houston in the AAC tournament title game 2 years ago, and winning a tournament game, and beating the likes of Bruce Pearl and others, Kelvin Sampson, Hall of Fame coaches. Where does this rank? Is this top five? Is this the biggest accomplishment of the Penny Hardaway era? Where do you put this?
Because I think like symbolically, I might argue that it is, just given the context of the season,
Mm-hmm.
and just where the program kind of was, coming into it, right? I mean, you have the staff wiping out of, you have the anonymous letter coming across Ed Scott's desk from, who'd you say it was? What was his alias? What was the guy's what was it?
No, I forgot, honestly. It was a
It was
weird
like
name and a strange
it was like James Brown or something like that. Like it was like a famous guy or something. I don't remember, but
I don't remember. It seems like
I'm not
so
trying
long
to,
ago.
not trying to dox you or anything, but
No, you're good. You're good, bro.
but yeah, I mean, to think that from that, I mean, think about how we were feeling on that night, like we thought that this thing was over. We thought that this thing was absolutely dead. And it was just a matter of when it was going to end, as opposed to like we were talking, people thought Penny might resign, I mean, we were having those conversations, and for him to have stuck to it and gotten it all the way to a conference title. I mean, it's just crazy. And again, I know the league is bad, but we thought there was a chance that Memphis could be bad too. And, they have clearly shown that they are not, and they have exceeded every expectation of mine and anybody's expectation reasonably.
No
They're
doubt.
going to be a top 25 team to end the season. We'll see on seeding. We'll see on how far they go. But
Yep.
I mean, I think winning because anybody can win a game. NC State went to the Final Four. Okay.
Yeah, look at NC State now. Oh my gosh, man.
But what about over the course of 18 games? Can a Penny Hardaway team be the best? And we have our answer now. The answer is yes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm glad you mentioned like the fact that, there's still work to be done. And Penny said that. I wrote about that in San Antonio after speaking with him, after he spoke to media. He kind of laid it out like when he assembled this group, right, back in June, when he had, I think it was 8 of his scholarship players already on campus, already together. And he laid out his vision about like what he thought this season could be and what he thought they could accomplish. Because guys like PJ Haggerty, guys like Tyrese Hunter, and guys like Dane Danger and Colby Rogers, I believe, were already in that room, right? It was others they added on later. So the core of your group you already had together, already gelling, already getting to know one another. And the way he laid it out was, hey, it's a not a three-step process, but there's three major boxes that he wanted to check, right? One was the AAC's regular season title, which they clinched a share of. So that's pretty much checked.
Right.
And they could really check it off if they beat South Florida on Friday to claim it outright. Second box is the AAC's tournament title, which they'll begin that journey next Friday in Fort Worth, where they'll have to win, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 games in 3 days in order to bring that trophy home. And the third box, which might be surprising for folks to hear, but Penny's had lofty goals before, and he's reached them. So who am I to say it's not possible? But the third box is a Final Four appearance, is what Penny said, and he repeated it again, right? Repeated it again on Tuesday to media that spoke to him in San Antonio. That is obviously attainable. Who am I to say it's not attainable? I do feel like, however, that would have been a lot more attainable when we were having these discussions in, let's say, December, right? When Memphis was going to be a top 4 seed at that point, when Memphis had built the resume, which it still has, but it built the resume without doing damage to its computer numbers in order to obtain a 4 seed, a 3 seed, whatever it may be, because then you're looking at a favorable path. You're looking at a path where you don't have to play, one of these true blue contenders in round 1 and 2, and you can kind of build that momentum, and you can win yourself 2 games and then kind of go from there. Now, though, the Tigers will likely be what? A 7 seed, a 6 seed, probably not likely, maybe an 8, right? Depending on if they do drop one of these games, whether it be Friday or in the conference tournament. From that spot, from a 6, 7, or 8 seed spot, like, is that an automatic, especially 7 and 8, is that automatic death sentence in terms of, you're going to go out sad in the second round? You're not going to make the push that Penny wants to make? Or is this team dangerous enough to, kind of go up against anybody regardless of seeding?
Yeah, I mean, I think not all teams and not all seeds are created equally. I think for an SEC team that's a 7 seed, I would say, yeah, they're probably going to have a tough time. Or a Big Ten team that's like a 7 seed, they're going to have a tough time. Because if you're in those leagues, that means you're not winning all that much if you're a 7, right? You're not necessarily underachieving, but you're not one of the best teams in that league in a power structure, right? But Memphis is only going to be a 7 seed by virtue of them playing in a bad conference, and they've also already shown you that they can go into Little John and beat a Clemson. They can beat a Michigan State. Now, I think if Michigan State and Memphis played again today, Michigan State probably wins that game. But I think if Memphis and Mississippi State played again today, that Memphis would win that game.
Exactly.
So, I think it's one of those things where it just kind of evens out. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't think it has to be a death sentence at all. I think, depending on who it is, I mean, that's always the key. But I think Memphis is pretty comfortable against anybody stylistically. I think there's a chance they're going to see Tennessee now.
Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah,
that'd be a good time. But yeah, I don't think it's a death sentence at all. I think Memphis would be like a 4 to 5 point underdog against those teams. It would not be anything egregious. Yeah. So I would certainly say not a death sentence whatsoever. Very winnable,
for sure. And before we even get there, obviously Tigers got business to take care of. Like I mentioned, Friday, right? Regular season finale, South Florida, FedEx Forum. I feel like it's going to be a celebration in that building, right? A celebration of this season, a celebration of what the Tigers have accomplished. And it's just the cherry on top, right? Beating South Florida would be the cherry on top. You've got senior day. Penny talked about it on your show, about the guys who are not partaking in senior day. That would be, I think he said, Dante Harris and PJ Carter, who, as we know, are 2 guys that still have eligibility concerns, meaning they don't know if it's going to be their last year, for various reasons, right? The 5 that will be honored, the school announced today and made it official, announced today on Thursday, are going to be Tyrese Hunter, Dane Danger, Nicholas Jourdain, Musa Cisse, and Colby Rogers. Those 5 guys are, obviously their Tiger journey is going to be over when the season ends. A player whose Tiger journey may not be over, however, is PJ Haggerty, right? All-American candidate point guard who has kind of not come out of nowhere, but, he did it at Tulsa last year and everybody had questions like, hey, can you do it on a winner? Well, he's done it on a winner. Those were not empty calories, were not empty stats. He's doing it now on a team that's ranked 16th in the country. You asked Penny, and I appreciate y'all asking, what his, like, how big of a priority would it be for him to retain PJ Haggerty? Now, a lot of coaches would say, what? I'm focused on this season. We'll get there when we get there. No, but Penny answered that question pretty directly and said, no, it's a huge priority. It's number one priority, he said, right? This offseason. What are the chances that what Penny has assembled this season with PJ Haggerty at the center of it all is not just a 1-year thing, but because of the way he's assembled it, because of him targeting guys like PJ Haggerty, right? Guys like PJ Carter, Dane Danger might have an extra year if he applies for that medical waiver and gets it. What are the odds that he's played it in such a way where this extends past a year and gives the Tigers some level of sustainability and familiarity even going into next season?
I mean, I think there's a great chance. I mean, I don't know what Dane's, it depends on what the case is.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's been the one thing that's been missing under Penny is the continuity. He's had to flip rosters 2 straight years. If he doesn't keep PJ, that'll really be 3. But if you can keep PJ Haggerty, I mean, we were talking about on the show. It's like the first time since the peak of Cal that Memphis has kept the player. I guess Will Barton. Will Barton came back for a second year in 2011. He did do that. So it'd probably be back since then. So you got to go back to 2011 when Memphis kept a player of that magnitude, on the team because, mostly they transfer, they go pro, whatever the case. So, yeah, I mean, it just gives you a freaking huge head start on next year. Like you keep PJ Haggerty, boom, you're a preseason top 25 team, boom, preseason AAC player team of the year, first place, right?
Yeah.
You just get to start from a much better place than you've started the last couple of years. You've had to win 8 out of the first 10 to get in the top 25, and this year you keep PJ, depending on who you add, maybe Danger, whoever, you could be preseason top 10. I mean, that's not crazy because they're 14th right now, or 16th right now, right? Is it 14th?
Right yep.
14th?
No, 16th. They're 16th right
16th,
now.
Yeah. Still, okay. So you could see a world where they start top 10, preseason top 12, something
top 15,
along those lines.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's definitely a chance. I think if Memphis goes on a run, it becomes even greater, because I think people will be engaged and excited to, help out with NIL. So, yeah, I think a lot of it you'll see residually depending on, what Memphis can do in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, man, it's exciting. It's exciting to see what this team will do. Obviously next week in Fort Worth, and beyond that, certainly the signs look encouraging. Well, that's all the time we have today. John, man, thanks for joining us as always, and thanks y'all for listening. You can catch all of our work and these podcasts at dailymemphian.com, and please like, subscribe, review. We'd love to hear from you, and let us know how we're doing. So we will catch y'all soon. Thanks a lot.